Yo, what's happening? It's been a minute. Yeah, this is Lucas coming to you live from North Salt Lake City. So before I continue about what I have in my head this evening about talking, my best friend suggested that I change my name from Lucas to just Zombie, since I'm known as a zombie drummer. A lot of people do call me Zombie. It's what I'm known as. So, which is really funny because she hates the name Lucas. She thinks it's the cringiest shit ever. It's pretty funny. It's kind of why I picked it. But not only that, Lucas and different country or language would represent balance. So it's kind of what I went off of and was like, okay, yeah, fuck it, Lucas, whatever. So anyways, but peace out to my bestie, always got my back. So I kind of wanted to hit upon the topic of addiction and where it takes us and where it makes us go sometimes after we've crossed that, because some of us never cross that mountain where we're tired of using different things to help us get through life, because it's not really helping us get through life, it's making our life tougher in this 3D realm, but we choose it because we're always, well, for me, I was always trying to find, I wanted a different feeling than what I was feeling normally, right? So therefore a little head change to get out of the reality, because yes, reality in a lot of cases does suck and it's hard to deal with. Everybody needs something to help them get through this, and of course drugs are on top of the list. I know a lot of people that use working out. I use playing music. I do have my medical cards. I do use THC to help me relax, and because I am ADHD, but I'm not willing to take pharmaceutical meds to help cause other issues from their side effects to happen, if you catch my drift. Anyways, so, and there's enough strains to put me where I need to be, depending on if I need it at what time of the day, per se. So I can regulate everything. Anyways, enough about that. Coming from a point where I used to be a meth addict and used meth for 16 years of my life, it's been teetering on 24 years since I've used that substance, and that's night and day drug right there. That was like the finish line for me. It's like, after this I need to stop everything, and I got to clean up everything for 10 years, almost 10 years. It was technically 9 years and 45 days, or no, 45 days from my 10-year mark. And I went ahead and I went into, because I was dealing with the 12-step program for that long. I was in it, and being of service, and had sponsees and had sponsors, and did all the footwork to be able to manifest a different path for myself than what I was going on, and there was a great deal of help from that 12-step community that I was a part of, and it's a worldwide thing, so go figure, right? It works if you work it. Anyways, so I was on to my 4th divorce at the time, and I was truck driving, semi trucks at the time, and there was a lot of stuff that I didn't have control over that I wish I had at the time, but it wouldn't have made a difference anyways, because you can never control a person, you know. I didn't like where my wife's attitude and spirit and existence was going to. I mean, she went to college and got it, you know, graduated, got a job doing what she graduated from, and you know, it started to take a toll at home. And when you're dealing with the public, you're dealing with people a lot, you get influenced a lot. So I went truck driving to basically get away from the stuff I want to get away from my wife, because I knew where it was going and I didn't really want to be around to see it go that way. I figured if I could remove myself and get into a line of work that made tons more money. The most money I ever made in my life was truck driving. And I did that for about 3 years and decided, yeah, with the lifestyle and the route I want to go with my life, truck driving is not on that list of things to do. Because I am a healer, I am a musician, and I combine those two tools that I have in my bag and create something way better than I ever could imagine. I create something is for me, what it does for me. So yeah, a lot of times I feel like, for me, when I was in recovery and I was getting off everything and was, you know, I still jumped to, like, I went into energy drinks real bad. I got into vaping, you know, I still smoke cigarettes. I mean, tobacco's always been a thing since age 11. I've been an addict since the age of 3. Not a drug addict necessarily, a music addict. But you know, you can channel your addiction into anything you want. But the problem with addiction, what makes something an addictive issue is when, for me, when I'm doing too much of one thing and not enough of another, because I'm trying to create balance within my life, right? So if I'm constantly, say, musicians, for instance, especially the ones who get big, you know, they have to take time out of their life, family life, to go and travel, tour, whatever. And that takes a toll, and it takes a certain type of person to be able to do that. Same with truck drivers as well. I mean, any job you got, you know. But when you have to take time out of your personal life to represent and bring in the income that you're used to getting from the start, because, you know, a lot of big bands will start without wives and without kids and then end up with them as their musical career grows, and then, you know, but it gets worked out for a lot of good musicians. So being away from home was a way for me to escape and not really just see if things, you know, give my wife space to do what she wants, to figure out how she wants to live her life. Because that's all I've ever been about. It's like, do what you want to do what helps you grow. And if I'm not in the equation, then cool, I can exit, because we're only here in people's lives for a certain amount of time for a certain reason usually. That's why people don't stay friends forever. At least not a lot. So in my addiction, I found that when I got into recovery, I would tend to do other things more, of course, because I had to fill my time with all the time I spent using drugs, finding, fixating, using, I mean, the whole nine. It took up a lot of time in my life, you know. It really does. As long as your mind's thinking about it, you're taking up, that energy, that headspace, and it affects all things in your life, including your chakras. So, then when you get in recovery, you tend to go from one extreme to the next. You want to, so you've been living life unhealthy, so now you want to be healthy, and then people turn into health freaks and they get too involved in that, and the rest of their life falls apart. It makes no difference. Whatever you're putting too much time in, you need to try to create that balance. And we are, the percentage change, 75 to 80% water. And so when you're trying to balance water in a human living being with electrical circuits running through it, on top of that, imagine, and not only that, we're in between two oceans. We live above an ocean, and there's an ocean above us, technically, that produces moisture, which creates rain. So, therefore, you got water above, water below, and your water too. So how in the hell are we supposed to gain that balance? There's a lot of different tools. I have a lot of different tools in my toolbox, and they all represent the same thing, except some things are meant for specific areas, and it's up to me to be in touch and connection with my intuition to know which tools to use for situation or person that I'm trying to help. So the biggest tool to use when servicing situations or a person is their willingness to be open. So I know I just jumped from recovery to tools, because in recovery I picked up a lot of tools to be able to balance my life a lot better. And then when things started falling apart, I talked about it, I wrote about it, and I just couldn't seem to shake the feeling that I want to go smoke some fucking weed. It's been over 9 years. I want to get a head change in that fashion, because I knew what it did for me. Weed and THC has always made me feel like a little kid again. And who doesn't want to feel like that? Unless you had a really shitty childhood, which I haven't. But there's some nostalgic moments as a kid that we all hold on and cherish to, I think. And most of my childhood was pretty great up until I got to like 12, and then life happens with people and places and things that you just don't have control over, and things didn't get too well, But so after the fact, this was just about, how can I balance my life? Do things I want to do things I have to do on this 3D dimension that we live in just to exist and be like semi-okay. I mean, I still live in my fucking car, but it's not the be-all, end-all of things. I know that. Sometimes transitioning takes a while, We have nothing but time. Nothing but time. So we become extremists, we go from, I was known in this program as a program Nazi by the book, and I got really deep. I was super serious about it. I didn't take my recovery lightly at all. And when I relapsed with THC, I didn't really feel bad about it at all. I felt, to be honest, I felt like I was 13 when I relapsed on marijuana. And I felt great. And I felt relieved. And I felt like this pressure was taken off me. Granted, I was still driving the semi and everything like that, but I just come to a turning point where it's like, yeah, I had to let my mind and my body reset to figure out what helps me the most. And alcohol never did it. The only reason why THC has never done it because I've always lived in Utah, and here in Utah we do have some unruly laws that make absolute no sense, and you can tell that monopolized they monopolized it out here in this area as far as medical goes. Because even though you're medical and, you know, per se, it's legal for you to do it, but you can't do it old school ways out of a joint or a pipe. You do that, it's against the law. It's like a B misdemeanor. I know I got a couple 2 summers ago and I had to pay the bill. I've paid my dues, and I'm like, okay, this is fucking crazy, right? You know, when all that went down, I reached out. A brother of mine through recovery got a hold of me. I told him what was going on, and I just moved out of a friend's house and didn't have really a place to go, so I ended up renting a room from him, and he's deep in recovery now, and you know, he's where I was like 15 years ago, you know, and it's cool to see that. But at the same time, you know, everybody's idea of what a perfect life or what a good life looks like is different. And it's usually based upon their childhood, you know. If you had a good childhood, you know, there became a time, I think I was probably like 7 years clean, and me and my wife were watching these people that had become minimalist, and at that point I was really deep into energy work, and I think I had just barely gotten in tune to do Reiki energy work, and so right off the bat we're looking into more things that can help us, you know, with our tools that we've learned through the process of being attuned and learning the symbols and learning how breath works and everything like that. I was doing more research, you know, because at one point I was going to take this as a profession, but now the market's so saturated, in order to get, you know, noticed, you really got to put a lot of effort and a lot of money into it. Fortunately enough for me, my best fucking friend on earth told me the other day, you know, I wish more people knew about you. And I said, what do you mean know about me? And she said, well, because what you do as far as healing goes is magnificent. You're like on your game. And the thing is, I don't share it with a lot of people, because at first when I got into it 15 years ago, I shared it with everyone, and everyone was like, yeah, you know, I shared it, I don't want to say not with the wrong people, but just with people that weren't ready, if that makes any sense. And so really it was like Doomsville, because I knew that Reiki was real because I used it on myself every day for like probably 3 months. I had a meditative practice I did with myself every morning to start the day. I still do today too. And you know, I took it to a different level. I've even grown in that aspect, because I haven't quit practicing anything, because the most energy work I can practice to see how sufficient it is with me. And so if I'm sitting in a spot where most people wouldn't be comfortable sitting, like say living in their car like I do now, like some people can do it, some people can't, right? So, and I've been doing this on and off for the last fucking probably, sorry about that, 3.5 years now going on. And it's been on and off, you know. I haven't had a real place since I think 2020, shoot, 22, something like that, 4 or 5 years. And I tried moving, you know, I tried changing geological areas, and just, I mean, everything was really temporary. I always ended up back here. And, you know, I took in a trip with a friend to Florida, and it lasted like 8 months, and I swear to God I never come back to Utah. Ended up coming back to Utah because, oh my gosh, Florida is expensive, especially if you're homeless. So I ended up back here, and shortly after that my mom passed away, probably about 2 months after I came back. And so it made sense, like everything just kind of correlated. Like, you know, really, some people, a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that, like, things happen and they really trip on it, you know, and they don't stop to take a look, step back, take a look at the bigger picture. You know, look at a little bit of the past couple days or the past month. See what your cycle's been, you know, like, what are you doing? And, you know, because some people come to this wall where they don't know how they got there, and it's like, well, there's a lot of people like that, and they need guidance, and that's why I come into play a lot of times for people, I've noticed, just to help them see some realizations, you know. I don't know if it's about what I say, how I say it. I think a lot of times it's how I say things in order to get the point across. I think it's times when I feel like they're never going to get the point, but I'm going to go ahead and try to explain it, and I get frustrated, and you can hear it. You can see it, you can feel it. So my communication skills have been a huge chore for me the last, I'd say, probably 1.5 years. And I think it's based upon, you know, I've been through a lot of shit in the last year. A lot of relationship stuff, a lot of fucking dealing with authority stuff. And I'm sitting here trying to balance, and my music creative side took anytime my lack of drumming happens, I really get uneasy, even after 2 weeks. And I had to go like months, you know, literally without playing, because it just wasn't, you know, I made some poor decisions, and in a way I feel like it was a karmic thing, because I was really paying too much attention to music at one point, and then Johnny Law stepped in, and that was kind of like my universal wake me up, if you will. I mean, that's the only way you can do it on a 3D way of living. I don't even know why they call it 3D. It's so funny. I'm just, blows my mind. I'm just going along with what you know, phrases and things right here in this veil, you know. So in recovery, I got into healing and got more, because I felt like I had harmed enough people in my addiction that this was my time that I could start healing. But the problem with an addict being a healer, we also are certain type of manipulators to a degree, depending on the person, you know. And so I feel like sometimes I've used recovery, I've used healing as a way to manipulate people, places, and things to get what I wanted. And that's something, you know, that's pretty tough when you go and when you know you're a healer and you're using it and it's hurting people. You know, it's like, it's on a subconscious level. I think I've been some situations where it has been subconscious. I didn't realize what I was really doing until like way later, until like the incident was over and I had to really step back and evaluate my actions in a situation. And it's not always easy to pinpoint or really see the realization, because half the time I am dealing relationship wise with people that are like in neck deep in their own shadow work. And when you come in to play with, you know, those aspects, it's like you're trying to give out morsels of your energy to something that's really taken up, you know, like you don't got enough energy to compensate for what they're going through to even try to heal somebody or try to attempt to show someone some tools that might can help them, because they're in the tornado of their issues or situations, you know. Their shadow work, their dark. I like dark work better, anyways. Oh, great new song though. Any metalheads? Despised Icon out of Canada, France. They got their newest album that was just released. They have a killer song on there, and it's actually called Shadow Work. And I read the lyrics, and I was like, because you never understand what they're saying, because a lot of times they're EP and doing some weird shit, but this shit was dope, so check it out if you haven't. Shouts out to Despised Icon. Shouts out to my homeboys from Wicked Temple, Cargo Cult. Dude, fucking Big Car. I mean, come on, man. Goonbats, Molotov, Vicious Souls, I mean, MBMK, fucking Pirates of the Promised Land. I'm thinking of all the local bands out here that I actually hang out with and really enjoy spending time with, you know. Moose Knuckle, I mean, yeah. It sounds like I have Tourette's, but these are actually band names out here. Pretty funny. They're either metal or punk or cover metal. So anyways, getting back to the recovery thing, it seems like out of all the people I've known, this has all been about balance. And, you know, it's always been a big promotion to try new things you've never tried, because, you know, we're trying to fill a void, because now we took the drugs out. So now we got to figure out, this is the fun part, now you get to figure out, I mean, it's a blessed thing. You get to figure out what you want to do, because now you've cleared the drugs out of your system and all the doors are open at this point, and you have all these choices. At least that's how it was for me when I got in recovery. Like, there was, you know, whatever I want to do, I could do it. And I still can to this day. I mean, things have changed in the last 15 years, of course. Economy's changed, just life is, people have changed. Life is a lot different than it was 15 years ago. And it sounds kind of moronic, me, you know, saying that, because, you know, that's the only thing that life has promised us, is a consistency of change. And us as humans, made up of mostly of water, in between two oceans, you got the moon, you got the sun, you got the, these are all things that people don't really sit back and try to calculate what the body can be doing, because we really don't know at some points. That's why intuition is a huge thing. If you can't tap into intuition, intuition is your guide to making better choices. And if you can't connect with that, I mean, yeah, you know, you can make mistakes in life still. It's not saying your life's going to be perfect by any means, but at least your life's going to go, if you're connected with intuition, and through my experience, your life is going to go a lot better than you had planned. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's how it works out, because it has for me. It really has. I get my depressed moments still. Moments where I feel lonely. But you know what? a really cool thing happened to me tonight. I got invited out to a bar to go watch the new Spinal Tap movie and basically hang out with a couple people from Wicked Temple. You know, we're talking about doing a 80s cover band. We're covering stuff from the 80s, you know, and they were looking for a drummer, and they said, well, what about Zombie? Zombie's always available. I do pop-up work when Big Cara plays, playing Creative Chaos, which we haven't actually played, and it's been close to, I think, 3 weeks due to Luisa's mom's issue out in Florida, so she had to tend to that. But the people in the band are basically from Wicked Temple with another player and me, pretty much. And doing an 80s cover band, not just any particular, you know, like stuck on one band type, you know, travel the world with the 80s. And I'm not a big cover fan. It's not what I enjoy doing on my free time or rather freestyle, but I know I have the capabilities and I know I can make it sound good and probably even better, because that's how I roll when it comes to drums. So I'm excited. I know I don't have high expectations of it, but I do think that as long as people do what they say they're going to do, have integrity, come together, make that shit happen, you know, put in the work. I got plenty of time on my hands. I can always find time for music. I mean, I work 45 hours a week, and all that time spent is usually either driving to go visit people or kicking in a hotel room for the weekend sometimes, here and there, going to see shows, supporting other local bands. I mean, this is kind of like, on the weekends, it's like, okay, who can I go support musically, creatively, openly, or in energetic way of healing, who needs healing. If I'm led to people, then, you know, it's based upon intuition. I don't do anything based upon like I'm not it's almost like I'm not mindful of what's really going on. I'm just kind of following intuition, and I think that's why people don't always understand me, and they think I'm intriguing and a little dark, because I am making movements based upon my intuition. And the way I stay in intuition versus ego is I do morning water meditations that have worked really well. I step into breath work. Here and there I'll go to sound baths just to re-energize what I already have going on. I listen to music that rings truth. I listen to frequencies of music that help me rejuvenate and help me be able to be the healer that I am. But I have to, you know, basically use the tools I've learned throughout the beginning of my life, throughout the recovery life, and through what I've learned out of recovery. I thought about going back to recovery probably about a year ago, and I actually went to an NA convention in Ogden. It was cool. I seen a lot of people I knew from when I was there before, and a lot of new people. You know, I don't know, a lot of times the things that were said to me when I was in recovery, like ego will keep you out if you ever relapse, stuff like that, and it's like, I don't really get it. I feel like I decided when it was my time to do something different, switch up something. I mean, if you do something that you feel helps you in your life to succeed and move forward, regardless of what laws are put into play about it, I think you should be able to do it. If it helps you and it helps people around you, then I would say, but everybody's got to make $1 off something, That's what it turns out to. Regulations create money. Yeah. So I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir this time, so it's very beneficial though to have a med card if you do live in Utah, or probably anywhere else for that matter. But as sad as it may be, so yeah, I've lived almost a decade of abstinence from what I use now. And I don't think my life has gotten worse from it. I just think it's gotten different. It helped me get humble. Not because I live in my car. It just helped me, this transition, this process, I'm able to have boundaries, stick to my boundaries. And part of that does have to do with living in my car and living the lifestyle I do, because I no longer, if I can't afford to be on my own, I'm not willing to live with other people that aren't to my benefit, Most cases, the people that I would live with, they don't have any room. And people might think, well, if you work a full-time job and you make $30,000, $36,000 a year, need I say inflation? I boiled it down to either I get a place and be stuck there without a vehicle. Not to say that public transportation isn't legit, because it is, but the way my mind works and the way I am, I need to have a car to get up and go. I never know when I'm going to need to get up and go. So it's nice to have old Ava. I actually put a new radiator in Ava after work tonight. So she's purring like a kitten. Oh yeah, Ava, my road dog for the last, it's going on 11 years. So crazy. So yeah, my life mentally got really tough in recovery due to my last divorce, and so I decided I wasn't going to be a part of recovery anymore. I decided I needed to go on my own and kind of venture out and do some so-called drugs to see if that was going to help, because it seemed like being totally clean off everything wasn't helping. I was allowing things to overrule my mind, which in fact would overrule moments. Certain things do help me be in the moment, and to me there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy being in the moment. There's not a lot of people that can take a hit of acid, show up at a party, be totally zooped, and play, a 45-minute set of cover songs. I do that. What's funny is because it's the zombie drummer is my lifelong goal for many of years, to become that and to be known as the zombie drummer, and it's happening. And now it's about putting the right players in the right position to make it even bigger and better. To make the idea to collaborate with other musicians to create something superbly sweet to the mind, body, and the soul. Because that's what musicians do, and that's what music does to us, for sure. And Zombie Drummer was started when I was in recovery, and I was like, well, since I'm probably not gonna be in any bands for a while, since I'm trying to stay clean, because musicians and certain types of drugs, alcohol, whatever, that's part of the game. I was like, well, I need to create something and start playing at least my drums again. If I can learn how to do some solos and things that sound cool, throw in a zombie and throw in some smoke, throw in some lights, some light up sticks, make a whole show of it. It was a very cool time for me because I felt even more creative. The idea I did not come up with, a friend of mine came up with it, but the character was named Naked Zombie Drummer, and I just didn't want to give anybody any expectations. So I said, that's cool, but I'll just go with Zombie Drummer. Take out the naked part. We are in America. So, yeah, that's where that was created. Because I was getting bored and I needed something to do, and I had to have to do with music, and it had to have to do with me being independent and not relying on musicians to create a character or to create a theme and just suit up and show up out of the blue. I got a little suitcase. Sometimes I go and play with Big Car. I'll just come play one or two songs just to make an appearance, get it on video, throw it on my YouTube, try to build a resume, and try to put myself out there as maybe a fill-in drummer, or just a special event type, because I put in energy and people feel that energy. When I get on stage, it's time to have fun, it's time to unwind, it's time to have those wow moments of this is really fucking cool, because you had the smoke, you had the lights, you had the zombie costume, you had good beats, you had talented musicians, throwing that energy out. It's a good time, and these are the things that help us survive whatever it is that we're going through. Recovery taught me that. My life today, dealing with the people I do deal with, it just shows. It's the major medicine of everything. And I'm very grateful and very humbled to be a part of these creations that come about in my life, where I get the opportunity to be myself and show myself through a different frame of mind as the zombie, because the zombie represents to me now today represents the masses. The masses are zombies. There's not a lot of us. There needs to be more that are awakening to what's really going on this 3D level, and how manipulative and how programmed and controlling this life has been. And so when I bring out the zombie, I represent the masses And I also represent change in the masses. I do that through the music, the styles of music I am able to play, which represents change, which represents fluency, which represents, I mean, there's a lot of representation I do when I'm in character and when I'm behind the kid. And people feel it, and I don't think a lot of people know why they feel the way they do after a show where I'm in the mix somewhere doing the music or doing the, whatever it may be. It's probably the biggest tool I do know how to share energy through. I mean, and I can do this telekinetically, if that is a word. See, that's the thing with me. I'm very smart, but I sound super stupid. My language just sucks. I don't know why, but it just does. I get corrected a lot by my best friend when I say wrong words. She absolutely does let me know and will laugh and let me know what's up. So I'm very aware of my speech. It's funny, I used to have a speech impediment. So in kindergarten, I took a speech therapy class, and lo and behold, a couple of years after that, my speech impediment disappeared. I still had this horrible Texas accent because I lived in Texas for a while. So, we all grow, we all change. It's consistency. And, whatever your intuition is telling you, whether you're trying to be on the fence about how you want to live your life, do you want to be a junkie, do you want to do this, think about the intention behind every decision you make. What is my intention? And if it falls shy of just being a good person on a daily basis, then my advice is not to do it. So, it's plain and simple, cut and dry. Not everything is black and white. Remember that. Things get pretty colorful out here. So, yeah. Recovery, we're extremists. We go from one extreme to the next. And in between, we try to figure out how to balance that, And the 12 steps of recovery have been a huge monumental tool for me in order to pinpoint things about myself that weren't really me, if that makes sense. And understanding and knowing that has brought forth so much freedom and so much weight lifted off me, because I was so egotistified through my drug use, thinking I'm this or I'm that, whether I'm not a good person, whether I'm a savior. All that thought was just totally misconstrued through drug use, and that's what we do. So now I'm in a position where things are about to get creative again with music, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm so happy. Well, it's going to be great. I don't worry about where I'm going to stay. I don't worry about things the average person would worry about, where I'm going to stay tonight. I've already got that down. Sorry. It's late. I've been itching to post a video, and I want it to be meaningful, and I want it to be about something that has been presented to me to share about through a friend of mine, and because I have experience in it, and I have a lot of great stories in recovery, out of recovery. Have a lot of aha moments. Like, I really wish I had a body cam for like the last 25 years of my life, because man, some things that happen, it's just unbelievable. Life is what we make it, man. Life is what we make it. There's a song by EDM band, two sisters called Cruella. They have a song called Enjoy the Ride. And I was watching the video of it, and you know, everybody's partying, having a good time, but at the end it shows her locked up in a cage, without nothing, just like, you know, just in a cage. And it was a great symbolism to, like, say you have the worst life, the worst upbringing, the worst of the worst, right? And you're sitting in the worst. It's like the message was, even if your life does suck shit, enjoy the ride. And I was like, I don't even know if I can wrap my mind around that idea. You know, that's very hard, because as human beings, you know, we're so attached to emotion and such. So, and I think that's why a lot of people end up getting PTSD. Damn near everybody has it now. You know, PTSD, I feel like, was a medical term that was made up for everything under the sun. But yeah, situations cause certain emotions to come up, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people I know and a lot of people out there that the circumstances were not fun, they were not nice, so how in the fuck you gonna enjoy the ride? But I think it's also symbolism for, no matter what, I'm still gonna be me. No matter what happens, you can try to break me down. I think it's like, you can't bring me down. Suicidal tendencies. 25 years later, on a different genre, different song, different artist, same message. I don't know, man. This life's a trip. I just thought I'd come on, since I haven't been on here for a minute, and you know, I was coaxed to do this, and unfortunately I waited till 11 o'clock at night to even start this video, and I'm almost 50 minutes into it. I'm not saying my life's great. I'm not saying my life's where I want it to be, and I'm definitely not saying my life doesn't have any room for growth, because growth is a consistency. Either I'm being stagnant or I'm growing. And me, myself, I prefer to grow. I still have things that I've done for years and years and years. I haven't quit, but at the same time, I feel like if I needed to quit them, intuition would let me know. So that's another part of intuition, because it helps you. Granted, like, smoking would probably help me in the long run, but intuition is based off spirit. So somebody's meant to, like, go through a challenge or go through a death at a specific time for, you know, whatever reason, then that's in alignment with your intuition, because what's gonna happen has already been written. And that's my true thoughts about why things turn out the way they do It's already been written. It's already been put out there. It's already going to happen no matter what. You can always manipulate certain things, but still, the main point to all this is intuity has nothing to do with what you want. It has everything to do with what you need. And your wants will be met in the process thereafter. So that's my spiel on Recovery Life, the Balancing Act. And another thing I want to point out before I close is integrity is another ingredient you want to throw in there, because without that, you're not going to get shit done. You're going to be in that stagnation, that Doomsville frame of thinking or being. And if you're somebody who's dealing with different mental disorders and you're not taking meds, do some research and figure out what natural herb, because I know there is one, will help with the situations that you're dealing with that you haven't dealt with. Because you do not like Big Pharma, and that is super awesome, and that's the way it should be, because none of the side effects are worth the shit, you know. I totally believe in that aspect of living, that is something we'll not partake in. There will always be a holistic way, a better way to fix our ailments. And a lot of it takes a lot of years and a lot of practicing and a lot of tools. But either way, the intention is for intuition. Taking care of oneself. Spiritualism is huge, and being plugged into intuition is the only vast key I've seen that's worked. But you gotta get there first, you know. So anyways, I've said enough. This is Lucas/Zombie. Namaste. I just want to bring you guys up, bring you up here, have you on high for a minute, you know, however long it takes. Whoever watches this, I hope you got some out of it. I know I did. I got some realizations about some thoughts and ideas that I had, and as I was talking about them, they kind of switched up a little bit, perspective switch. So I like that. It was for the better, is on the more positive side than what I had thought earlier about it. So thanks for being here for me to help me with my therapy. If you have any questions, want to talk about something, leave it in the comments. Namaste, because you know the weirdness in me will uplift and support the weirdness in you. See ya.